All right, welcome everybody. Team Building Tuesday. Tonight's a very special session because it's a very important and critical session. And we're going to talk about two things tonight that are very, very important for duplication and creating a process of leaders being developed and more leaders, showing up, compounding in the process. One is the process and the purpose and intention behind follow-up, okay? So that's the first one, okay? How and why we do follow-up meetings, right? And the second one, okay, is challenges, okay? What challenges are for and why everybody that wants to lead a big team and make a large residual income needs to achieve challenges, right? Challenge contests, whatever you want to call them. They call them challenges. So we're going to talk about those. We're going to start with follow-up, and I'm going to focus on that one, and then I'm going to turn it over to and obviously Mileva will chime in whenever you feel fit. Mileva, just chime in, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mileva, and she's going to focus on challenges. We're doing two tonight simply because they're not long, and they're really straightforward, and they're not complicated. Each of them. They don't need a lot of time each. So the first thing is this. After you're done showing the plan, first and foremost, you need to book a follow-up within 24 to 48 hours to get back with that person, especially if they were on Zoom. Because right now, since everything's on Zoom and there's not as much in person right now, it's important to realize that, hey, listen, we are just going to get back together with people on Zoom. And by the way, if you show the plan earlier in the day, there's nothing wrong with having a follow-up later in the day. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't have to be the next day or the day after. That's a uniqueness about these social, the Zoom things and the digital and virtual follow-ups. It can be the same day. And I'm going to talk to you the intent and the reason we do those, so you really understand that, and you know what your job is. Right, Mileva? You know what your job is. You know what the purpose is. And you know that there's a job to be done on your follow-up calls. So when you're done showing the plan, you book a follow-up to get their questions answered, right? Within 24 to 48 hours. But when you book it, understand the purpose behind it. It makes complete sense that you're booking it for get their questions answered. And their questions are going to get answered. But the second reason you're booking it is because you need to get them to understand enough to lead to more people, right? Either try it, lead to more people, or go now and get started. That's what the purpose of the process of the follow-up is, right? So when I get on a follow-up, right, I get done showing the plan, I book the follow-up within 24 to 48 hours, I'll even say, hey, it would be smart to have a person or two on to evaluate the business when we do your follow-up. Like, that's the ultimate goal there, is at that first follow-up, I can answer some questions at the end. Well, let's get 2 or 3 people on the Zoom with you at the follow-up, so you could kind of get how people, ask them for their opinion, ask them to evaluate it and investigate it with you. It's smart to have people look at it with you, all right, in the process, right? So that's the first goal of the follow-up. You want them to get a guest there with them, at least 1 or 2 or 3 guests there to evaluate the business too. Or if it's a product follow-up, evaluate the product. So remember, any follow-up you book, you want them to have someone new with them. Got that? Make sense? So let's just say, even if Mileva was my customer, and I say, all right, I sold Mileva a product, an OPC or whatever, or a Daily Essentials or something, and I'm going to get on the phone with you in the next day or two, to give you more information about it, tell you what you should be feeling, or we could talk about how your body is responding to it. But when we do that, I'd love for you to get a person on to learn about it too. Every person that you recommend me, I'll give you a discount off your next, product, right? Or whatever. So no matter what, you want to get creative and get them to automatically incentivize them some way to get people on, if it's about product, or get them to get other people on with them to evaluate the business at all, as much as you can. It's not going to always work perfectly, but the right person that's anxious and hungry, they're going to get somebody on at that follow-up meeting. So remember, that's the number one objective and goal, to get them to get someone else on with them, 1, 2, 3 people, to evaluate the business and see the business again, right? That's the first goal. Now, if that doesn't happen and I'm on the follow-up call, because sometimes they'll, oh yeah, I will, but I want to get some more information. Great. We're going to get back on the phone tomorrow, 12 o'clock. I'm going to send you the digital credibility video. Remember this. This is always the 5-minute and 13-second digital credibility video. Every single person has to watch that the day they see the plan, no matter what. Make sure they watch it, even if you have to watch it with them before you end the meeting. 5-minute, 13 seconds. Watch that video. It talks about the credibility of the Better Business Bureau, right? Give them a little bit more stuff to learn about on our exclusive products or whatever, and then get the follow-up the next day. They'll have more questions. When I'm on a follow-up, I'm going to get on, and here's my next goal. I want to get them comfortable enough to, number one, buy a ticket to the next training, right? That's one goal. I have a goal. My goal is I want them to commit to the next training. I want them to lead to more people, or I want them to get started. Does that make sense? Right? Now, when they lead to more people, that makes them get started, right? But sometimes, now understand this, 80 to 90% of people will be comfortable enough to lead the people, but they won't be ready to get started that time. And the only reason why I say that is because certain personality types, you have to start them. It's very small percentage. 5 or 10%. But when you find those ambitious, motivated, straightforward entrepreneurs that just get it and they're all in and they can't sit still, you have to let them start, right? Because they're the ones that are going to get in and crush the business. Like if they would have told me, well, Don, introduce us to 5 people and then maybe we'll let you in, I would have been like, later, like, because I was a 23-year-old kid, that, you know what I'm saying? But understand, that's a small percentage of people. The majority of people will get you and introduce you to people because they're test marketing the process. So I'm on the follow-up. I say, all right, so let's just say I'm on a follow-up with Steven, all right? I showed him the plan, right? He liked what he saw. He said, yeah, I'd like to get more information about this. All right, Steven. First recommendation is I'm going to send you some videos to watch, a video or two. Not a lot, like 1 or 2 things, guys. Don't overwhelm them. And then let's get back together by tomorrow at this time or later on tonight or whatever, how much time that you need. Tomorrow, 48 hours at the longest. When we have to get back in person, it can go another day up to 72. But in person, I mean on Zoom, 24 to 48 hours at the max. I got to get back with them. And I'll be able to answer your questions while we do that. But the number one thing I want you to do is, don't you think it's smart to see how other people are going to respond to this before you make a decision? Mm-hmm. Great. Get some people, a couple people that you really value their opinion, just to come and check it out and tell them you trust their judgment, you value their opinion, you want their feedback and help you make a decision of whether it's a fit for you or not. Maybe they'll like it too. And just give them that opportunity, just a little evaluation approach, right? But that's why you have to give them that digital credibility video, guys, because if you don't give them that, they ask somebody to do that, they ask the name of the company, and they go find something negative because some company's trying to use our success, you know, like a politician would, to say something bad about us to get them to go somewhere else. That can side rail and derail them, okay? Mm-hmm. That's why you have to show that 5-minute, 13-second video, you know, and then they come back the next day. So let's just say I get on there and I'm with Steven, and Steven says, yeah, I asked a buddy of mine, he wasn't free, but I'm looking forward to get my questions answered. All right, cool, Steven. So thanks for getting on. From what you watched last night, and what was really sticking out, right, that you need to get your questions answered for? What was a thing that, any questions or curiosities or really things that are kind of flashing lights for you that you really need to get your questions answered on? And I let him ask her a few questions. Now, remember, I'm doing this because I want him to get his questions answered. But I have a goal here. Right, Vershanti? I have a goal. Right, Joel? I have a goal. Toby, I got a goal. Miriam, I have a goal. Vince, Chrissy, Celeste, Darwin, I have a goal. And my goal is I'm going to answer their questions. I'm building their confidence and trust in the system, right, by doing this. But right after they're done I'm answering some questions and I'm clarifying. I might even pull the slides up and just show them the numbers again and reiterate some certain things, right? I'll pop it right up there. And you know, if they ask a question, instead of trying to explain it, I pop it up and I'll re-show it real quick, right? Just in 10 minutes, just the numbers, right? Just the points that need clarification on, right? So then I have a couple goals again, and here's what I want to do. I say, all right, great. So now you got your questions answered. This is the most important thing. I want you to see if this is going to work for you. I have a question for you. Is there anything preventing you from getting started right now? And I'll use a test close like that. Is there anything preventing you from getting started right now? You can say that. Or you can say, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 means you're not, you just want to be a customer support. You're not interested in getting started. 10 means start me right now. Where do you find yourself, Stephen? From 1 to 10, Stephen, just give me an example. Throw a number at me of somebody that would be somewhat interested.
7.
7. All right, Stephen. Well, here's the good news. That sounds pretty good to me, but here's the thing. I only work with 10s. So what I need to do is I got to get you some more information and show you how well this can work until you become a 10 or a 1. When you're a 1, we know it's not for you. But if you're a 7 right now, I either have to get you more information to become a 10 or get you more information to become a 1. And we just keep on getting back together until one of those two things happen. Is that fair? Do you guys get that?
And notice what he's doing. And this is so huge because people need to be led. And sometimes I feel like, especially if we're new, when we book that follow-up, we get this mental gap where we're like, oh, I don't want to be pushy, or I don't want to push like what my agenda is on them. But understand, people want to be led through a process. And so what Don is doing, it's not forcing his agenda on someone. He's listening, asking questions, figuring out where they're at, and then he's leading them in the next direction. And that's important, because if people can trust that you know what needs to be done, they're going to trust you in building this business. And so I want to just like put extra emphasis on that. Don't feel at all like you're being pushy or pushing your agenda. Know that people need that from you. You're leading with heart, asking what they need, answering questions, getting people to evaluate for them, figuring out where they are on a scale of 1 to 10, because you can only work with 10s and you want to help them get to either a 10 or a 1. And you're going to help them through that process by knowing, okay, here's the next step. Here's the next step. Here's the next step. Because if we leave that up to the prospect, they have no idea what's happening.
Well,
and so you might just chit chat for 20 minutes and then be like,
yeah. Not only that, guys,
okay.
Here's the thing. Successful people want to see results fast. If they don't see results fast, if they don't see motion, if they don't see they're going in a direction, you're going to lose them. They're like, this ain't fast enough for me. Right?
Yeah.
Successful people like speed. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. With that, so I have a couple goals, right? So I went through everything I just talked about, but I got to the point where all right, so your next step is you're a 7. Or is there anything preventing you from getting started right now? Yeah, I just, I'm not 100% sure. I want to learn more about it. That's great. Perfect. First thing we need you to do is I want you to buy a ticket to the next event that we have, because I need you to get trained and educated on all the things we do. The only thing I'm going to ask you to do financially is to buy a ticket, because all your questions that are in your mind will absolutely be answered during our regional convention on the second weekend or third weekend of November, right? 4 or 5 weeks away. It'll be answered, and you'll get 4 to 6 months worth of information in one weekend. And by the way, we're going to get together in a small watch party, and we're going to watch it together in a safe small watch party, right? Because it's virtual. We're going to get together. So only thing I'm going to ask you to do is buy a ticket to that, financially commit to that, okay? So number 1. Now, the second thing I'm going to recommend you do, and I have them do it right there in front of me. I'll share the screen, take them to the thing, make the purchase, the email. All right, they're good. See, here's the thing. This is my little insurance policy that they're going to get trained, and I know they're going to be coachable. How many of y'all understand that?
Yeah.
That's the secret here. Boom. Get them to commit to an event, right? Now, again, you can't push it, but I'm saying here's your next step, all right, is getting a ticket to the next event. Now, that's number 1. Second thing is I need you to try some product, all right? So I'm either going to send you a couple samples, right, daily essential samples, on the unfranchised marketing app or whatever. I want you to start trying the product. Or why don't you grab that home shopping list and pick 2 or 3 things on here that you're almost out of. I'll get it to you at a unfranchised cost or discount or whatever you want to do. So you can purchase those products now, and get you at the wholesale price for this first time since you're in the process of evaluating things that you need to spend money on anyway. So you can try those out. So you can do one, two way. Send them a sample or have them buy 2 or 3 things in the categories that they'd be spending money in the store off of anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the second thing. Help them make the purchase. But then the last and the most important, ready? The last and most important is we need to start getting people to evaluate this. Because let me ask you a question, Joel. If I can guarantee that you would be making money at this, you'd start today, wouldn't you? I can't guarantee it unless I know you can lead the people, right? The mastery of this business is getting people to evaluate the business, whether they're interested or not. I just need you to get 2 or 3 people on this by tomorrow. So let's go tomorrow afternoon at the same time, like 24 to 48 hours. We'll set up a Zoom time, and I just need you to get 2 or 3 people just to get on to evaluate it. Not because they'd be interested, not because you want them in. I don't want interested people. I don't want you to try to get anybody interested. I just want you to get 2 or 3 people to come give you their feedback on this and help you decide if they think this is good or not. They have a chance to come on board if they like it too, but you just want to get their feedback. That's the number one reason that you're getting them. You trust their judgment. You value their opinion. And that's what you do.
Can you ask that the question? Can you ask that again?
If I could guarantee you this would work, if I could guarantee this would work for you and you'd be making money every single week, $300, $600, $900 a week, if I could guarantee that, you'd start today, wouldn't you? I can't guarantee it unless I know you can, lead to some people and show me that we can get some progress going here. And it shows you that it works, and it shows me that you'll work it. Right?
Right.
So I want you to get 2 or 3 people within the next day or 2. Let's pick a time and then ask the people to come give you their opinion and because you trust their judgment. I'm going to tell you that don't make the mistake that a friend of mine made, and you give them an example. A friend of mine, what they did is they went out and started talking to people, and I told them not to tell people that they'd be, ask them to be interested. I just asked them to go ask people to evaluate it. But they went out and they said, you might be interested, and they all blew them off and they disappeared because they thought she was trying to get them involved in something. I don't want to get anybody involved in something. I want to get people to evaluate it. Okay? Right. And that's what it's all about, right? So that's it. So I have 3 primary goals. Now, I might not get all 3 done. But the first one is when I book the follow-up, I'm going to attempt to get them. Actually, right at the end of the show on the plan, I'm going to attempt to have them get somebody in front of me within the next day or 2 to help them make a decision. And I'm also, if they're super interested, I'm also going to attempt to sell a ticket. Every time I show the plan, I attempt to sell a ticket to get a financial commitment for somebody to attend the training. But then at the follow-up, I'm doing that again. Number 1, is there anything preventing you from getting started? Or from a scale of 1 to 10, 1 meaning you're just be a customer, 10 meaning is get me started right now. Where do you fall? Oh, I'm an 8.5. Great. That's awesome, brother. Listen, Joel, I can only work with 10s. So I can't bring you on until you're a 10. See how I'm taking control here?
Yep.
All right? So we need to just get you more information and get some other people to evaluate this thing for you and get you educated enough till you either become a 1 or you become a 10.
And
I
this
don't want
is
to force
powerful,
you one
you
way or
guys.
another. I just want you to get educated enough to make that decision.
Other companies don't do this. Like, understand, this is one of the biggest things that sets us apart from any other company out there. Yeah, of course, we're not multi-level. Our compensation plan is totally different. We all get that. We've seen the plan. But our process is one of the number one things that sets us apart, because we're not trying to talk anybody or twist their arms or get their money to partner. We don't want that. We want them to see it be successful so that they can convince themselves that this is great, let's go. That takes all the pressure off of you. Like, your job, we're not in the convincing business. We're in the disseminating information business and just leading them through the process. The right people stick with it through and become amazing partners. And the ones that aren't a fit, it's totally fine. Maybe they're a great customer. Maybe they can refer you great people, but they will refer you because they had an amazing time in that process.
Yeah, you weren't pressuring them at all. Donna, all you would do, Donna said, how would you give them a wholesale price? Donna, what you would do is have them pay you either through PayPal or Venmo, whatever the wholesale is, and then you drop ship it to them from your back office. You can't give them a wholesale from your front, but that's the only way you can do that. But that's that. So remember, that's it, guys. So my goal is when I'm at the plan showing again, I want to get them within 24 to 48 hours. Number one, to get some people to evaluate it with them and answer while I answer their questions. I can answer their questions and get some other people to evaluate it, test their market out. But I'm also going to attempt to sell them a ticket at that follow-up. I'm sorry, at the plan showing if they show an interest. But if not, at the follow-up, I'm going to answer their questions. I'm gonna tell them about the next training. Tell them the number one most important thing is they'll get you 3 to 6 months worth of training in one weekend. The only thing I'm going to ask you to do right now financially is to buy a ticket on a scale of 1 to 10. And see, this is why this is my favorite. Sometimes I'll say, is there anything to prevent you from getting started now? If I can tell that they're ready to rock, or I can't read them, right? I'll just say, and not because I want to get them started now. I just want to know what their hesitation is. I want to find if they have an objection or not. Hey, is there anything preventing you, Kelly, from getting started right now? Just out of curiosity. No, there isn't. All right, great. Well, let me ask you a question. If you're willing to do a couple things, we can get you started. Or on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you find yourself? Oh, I'm a 10. Great. All right, well, here's the deal. I only work with 10s and you're a 10. So there's a few things I have to make sure that you're going to be able to do before I can get you started. Number one, I need to make sure you're going to be willing to get trained and plug into the system. We have a training coming up. Is there anything that would prevent you from getting a ticket for this training and attending? Great. Awesome. Second thing, will you instantly start getting people to evaluate this business right away?
Mm-hmm.
Can you have a couple people, 1 or 2 people tomorrow to evaluate? If you're willing to do those 2 things, we can start right now if you want. Or you can say, if you're willing to do those 2 things tomorrow, you get 1 or 2 people in front of it. You show me that you're serious, right? And you get some people to evaluate it. Don't let them blow you off. Just get their opinion. You do that, we can get you started right after it. I'm not pushing it. It's what, that's what it's all about. What if it's financial, especially with COVID? Then we can so if they say, man, I'd love to get started, but it's a financial thing. Great. All right, I'll tell you what if we could generate the cash flow for you? What if we could generate the cash for you? Would that be cool? All right, great. Let's host a wellness event or a beauty event. You have to get 5 to 10 people to come and evaluate a product and give you their opinion and let them know that you'd like them to support you in a new business that you're starting. And we'll run a virtual product event of some type, and we can decide together. And then once they get 5 to 10 people on there, their sales makes them enough money to get started, and the BV that they produce qualifies their center. So typically their retail more than the $129.95. So we can do a product event to get them started too. And what's great about that, guys, is that gets them customers right away. So now they're making money. They started. I have a personal trainer that started in Columbus, Ohio several years ago. And she had 18 clients that she was seeing. She had like 30 or 40 clients a month that she was seeing. But she had 18 clients that she had attend a TLS overview. 17 of them registered and paid for their 90 days up front. She got into business and put $1,100 cash in her pocket.
That's amazing.
So she got in and put $1,100 cash in her pocket the day she started. She walked away with $1,100 cash. Why? Because they paid for the 90 days up front. I taught her how to do and she was a personal trainer. It was easy to do. I taught her how to do a 3-month TLS program with her clients. They paid her up front it was $10 a week per person plus the product that they chose, so done. So she made $1,100 in profit right in her pocket. It was awesome. So there's ways to do that financially too, but that's what it's all about, guys. So that's the purpose of the follow. Remember, when you're on there, you don't want to spend a lot of time. If it's just them, you answer some questions quick, straightforward, get to the point, and that's it. All right, so here's your next step. All right, but by the way, before we go and I tell you the next step, where do you find yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? 8. All right, great. I love that you're an 8. That's exciting to me, but here's the deal, Joel. I can only work with 10s. So what we have to do is get you more information until you can build yourself up to becoming a 10. And at that point in time is when I can bring you on. So here's the first step. Let's get you to a training. I'm going to get you 3 months to 3 to 6 months of information one weekend, right? Our next conference. That's the only thing I'm going to ask you to do financially today is buy a ticket for that. It's $40. It's a joke. 2 full days of training for $40, and we'll watch it together. Let's get that training now. Is there anything stopping you from doing that? All right, great. Boom, you buy the ticket. It shows me that you're serious. Next thing I want to have you do is try some product. Would you like me to send you a couple samples 2 or 3 days? Or would you like to go through this home shopping list, pick 2 or 3 things in the categories you're going to buy, and purchase them for yourself, right? And I'll give you I can drop ship it to you, give you a wholesale discount, or you can give them a coupon code for 15% off if you want, right? So that's number two. And then
I spent $40. I spent
One second,
$40 ticket.
hold on, let me finish. That's number two. And I'll answer your question. And then number three is the most important part is now you got your training and you're going to be trying the product. Let's get some people to evaluate this business or evaluate the product. Let's set up an event where we can get 2 or 3 people on Zoom in the next day or two to evaluate the business. And you know what? Let's also set some up. We can get 2 or 3 people or 3 or 4 people or 4 or 5 people to evaluate the product. And we can host both of those events before they even get started. So understand, the goal is just getting them to what? Commit to be trained, right? And try the product. And most importantly, lead the people. Lead you to people, right? No matter what it takes. And teach them the evaluation approach, not the who would be interested approach. And that's it, guys. That's how it is. Any questions on that before I turn it over to Maleva for challenges? Good stuff, right, Vince? Guys, it's such a science because what will happen is you'll have people that are maybe not so great lead you to some great people. You'll have people that maybe will be mealy-mouthed or wishy-washy lead you to a rock star superstar because you got them leading the people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always say, even the duds, I mean, there's not a lot of duds out there, but you're going to come across them every once in a while. And just remember this, every dud knows a stud. And you just got to get them to lead to them. And here's the best part. The duds aren't duds anymore if they lead the studs because they're going to make 100%. You got what I'm saying? You just got to get them leading the people and doing it within 24 to 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Success loves speed. Do it quickly. Coach them to do it, even if you got to do some calls with them. By the way, just so you guys know, me and Maleva and a lot of our inner circle leadership, Darwin and a handful of others, we're going to start doing call workshops every day, Monday through Friday. We're going to take turns. Maleva does hers every day at 5 o'clock, every Wednesday or Tuesday.
Tuesday. It was today at 5 o'clock.
Every Tuesday at 5 o'clock, Maleva does a call workshop for about 30 minutes or so. Right? Mm-hmm. So if you want to be on Maleva's call workshop and just listen and learn and maybe do some calls with them, jump on and do it. You know, reach out to Maleva. I'm going to end up doing one day. I'm going to make, I know Darwin will end up doing one, but we're going to make sure there's a call workshop that anybody can get on Zoom and listen in and learn. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, at least 30 minutes. Each of those days are going to be a call workshop going on, probably starting by tomorrow. I'll send it out. Maybe what I'll do, honestly, is on the bottom, I'll take the calendar and I'll put it across the bottom of I'll put the dates that the call workshops are with the Zoom code on the bottom of the calendar too. So we all have that. So, all right, guys, so now you know the process of follow-up. Remember those couple testers on a scale of 1 to 10, or is there anything preventing you from getting started, right? They're the 2 test closes and everything else. And the answer is the same. What you're doing next is the same. You're getting them to lead the people. You're having them try the product, and you're having them buy a ticket. No matter what they say, it's all the same. But in some situations, you're having them do that and registering their business right away. And in other situations, you're having them do that, lead the person, which is more commonly that'll happen. Very seldomly, it'll be a register right away because you're not going to get many nut jobs like me. But they're the ones that you have to just get them started because they're antsy in their pantsy. And that's just how I was, how to get started. Vince, go ahead, brother.
All right, quick question. So this is interesting. So you got, let's say I'm the guy, I'm all fired up. Don, I did like 4 MLMs, I crushed it, but I don't know. I'm ready to go. Pull out my credit card. You're like, love you, Vince. Put that thing away. Get me in front of 1 or 2 people to evaluate it first, and then we can look. Like you're literally taking it away?
Sometimes, so here's the thing. If they're an MLM person, I'm going to say, Vince, here's the thing. I have no problem letting you get started, right? But let me just go through a couple things. I want to tell you something we're a little different than what you're used to happen, right? What I mean by that is this. I have no problem getting you started today. But what I want to do is make sure that we're going to have a process put into place that's going to duplicate and repeat. I'm not here just to get you started. I want to get the process started right. Now, don't get me wrong. If you, Vince, right, if you're a stud and you've made a lot of money and you've been in 4 different network marketing companies that have been successful, I'm not making you do anything. But I'm going to tell you what I expect, right? Because here's the thing. Like I talked to Ben Ginder, I talked to a lot of people all the people that had network marketing experience, they already know, they're going to lead the people if they've had experience and they were successful, right? It's okay to get them started, but you have to be clear, like JR explained to us at the thing, you have to be clear on what the process is. Vince, I just want you to commit to this. And most of the time, if you didn't have experience in network marketing and have made a lot of money doing it, I wouldn't even let you start today. So let them know that, right? I wouldn't even let you start if you didn't have that. But because you've had that, as long as you're willing to commit to a few things, and we're going to put together a proper process, I have no problem getting you started and getting you registered. So here's what we need to do. You and I have to make sure we're committed to go to every training that comes up every 4 to 6 weeks, because that's where duplication is going to happen. And I need to make sure that you're going to instantly start getting us in front of people right away, right? And start trying to product. Is there any issue that you'll have with doing those things, right? And making sure that he's willing to be coachable. He says, yes, I'm doing it. All right, great. Then I'm willing to get you started, right? So just remember, don't pull it so hard away from stud people. Again, it's not going to be that common that happens. It's going to be very uncommon. But when it does, start them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that wasn't the answer I was expecting, but you're right, because they could just go, oh, I think my buddy on Instagram is part of Market America. I'll talk to him, and you never know.
That's exactly right. Those guys, especially if they've been successful, made money. But 95% of the time or more, you're going to get them leading the people.
I love it. It's so ethical.
Yeah.
It's so ethical.
Yep.
You got to treat it like a business. Thank you, Don.
Yep, you got it.
That's awesome.
Yep. So, all right, Maleva, tell everybody about the challenges now.
Yeah, real quick. I was just listening to a great audio this morning or yesterday with Ed Milet and John Maxwell, which if you haven't listened to that podcast, please listen to it. Ed Milet show with John Maxwell, so good. But John Maxwell talks about long-term vision and short-term goals. And he's like, usually companies had, long-term visions were like 10 years. And then short-term goals were 2 years. But in today's instant gratification society, 2 years is not a short-term goal. 4 to 6 weeks is a short-term goal. And so what I love about challenges is we have challenges that are put up by the corporate team, and there are usually challenges that are between seminars. So local seminar to local seminar, regional to regional, international convention to world conference, that have a shorter time frame that takes the 2 to 3 year business plan and breaks it down into 4 to 6 week segments of different activities for you to do to make sure that you're on track with the 2 to 3 year plan goals. Now, some people do that shorter than 2 to 3 years. Some people do it longer, but the average 2 to 3 year plan that this company is focused on following the system, those local challenges and those corporate challenges break down that 2 to 3 year plan into more palatable bite-sized segments. The reason that I love challenges is, one, it gives you specific track to run on, gives you specific activities. You either do those activities or you don't do the activities. Now, here's the cool thing. If you're participating in the challenge, one of the best things that you can do is when you're reaching out to people to ask them to evaluate the business is you can say, hey, I'm in a challenge. I need to share what I do with 3 people. Would you mind hopping on? I'd love to share with you what it is I do, because you're a super successful business person and I would really appreciate your help. That challenge gives you a little incentive, a little backbone to reach out to people, because you're in a challenge. You made a commitment. You need to do those activities. But it also allows you to see a reward in the journey. This business just isn't about the end result or the end goal. It's really about the journey that it takes you on to get there and the person that you become in the process. And so what I love about these challenges breaks down that 2 to 3 year plan, but also gives you rewards along the way so that you can measure, monitor, adjust, and control and see that you are doing the right things and going the right direction. And so if you're brand new and you're not familiar with these challenges, you can go into your back office under your support materials and you can just type in challenge. Different divisions have different corporate challenges. And so there's one for motives, there's one for skincare, there's one for TLS, there's one for web centers, there's one for Nutrimetrics, there's usually one for every division. And so go action item this week, figure out what division makes the most sense for you and print out the challenge so you can see what's on it, because it's going to break down, like I said, that basic 5 into more like palatable pieces. And the most successful people in this business will tell you they built their business event to event, challenge to challenge. And so it really is just about that like reward system and that mindset of knowing that you're completing tasks that are leading you to a place that you want to go. That's the big thing about the challenge. Now, I will say that also there are corporate campaigns happening right now that you can absolutely plug into. I know TLS does them. I know Motives Cosmetics does them. For right now though, last night, I'm gonna clue you in on something that's really exciting that JR and Lauren are doing. Right now, if you've been following them on Facebook at all, you see that Lauren Reidinger is doing a 28 Days of Skin campaign. Here's the best thing. You don't have to focus in our skincare division to utilize these campaigns. Everybody has skin. Everybody should be taking care of it, especially when you get paid to use your own products to take care of your own skin, right? And so any single one of you, man, woman, doesn't matter, can take advantage of a 28 Days of Skin challenge and do a skincare routine morning and night and post your results on Facebook. Because that's gonna create some visibility that's going to attract people. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what's that skincare? And then you can tag team a partner in our business that focuses in it. So Joel, he might do 28 Days of Skin, post that he's, hey, I'm doing 28 days and my name's Joel and I'm gonna play with skincare even though I don't know anything about it. And he might have people saying, well, what are you doing, Joel? Or what is that? Or I wanna participate in skin. Like, what skincare are you using? And then Joel can tag team me in and say, Maleva, I need help with a consult. I can pop in and help his customers choose their skincare. That's how we utilize each other. That's teamwork. But here's the best thing that JR and Lauren are doing. Next is gonna be 28 Days of Health. Every single one of us can do that challenge regardless of your focus, because we all should be using our Isotonics products. And moving into the winter time, more and more people wanna take control of their health, build their immune systems, and should be supplementing. And so every single one of us can participate in this campaign with Lauren and JR. As soon as they post things about it, we can flood the Facebook group so you all see what the campaign is. After that campaign, come, I believe, December, JR and Lauren are doing 28 Days of Business Building. They're going to be doing a business building campaign that you all can be involved in. They're going to be teaching every single week the bite-sized steps to building your business so you feel confident with it. And so here's the best thing. We don't have to recreate the wheel. If I owned my own salon, I would have to create incentives for my employees, create loyalty programs, create campaigns for my customers. I would have to do all of that work. Here, the business does it for you. All we have to do is plug in. And so that's what I wanted to say about challenges. I highly, highly encourage you. Look at the corporate challenges in your back office, action item, pick one, print it out. Let's do it. Even if you don't hit it, you know you moved forward in the right direction. Second
Real quick,
action item.
just real quick, guys. One of the things, and I know she said it, but I just want to really, really hit home. In addition to it being a track for you to run on, it makes everything duplicatable because your people can have something to follow too. It's like, hey, these are the footprints to put your feet in front of you, to follow from the people in front of you. So you can either walk them, jog them, sprint them, but all you have to do is put your feet in the footprints that are already stamped in front of you, and allows you to become more successful. That's why it's another process of duplication. So the follow-up was a great process of duplication because it's getting people becoming successful because you're leading them in the right direction. But this also is, once they're in the business, now people that go for challenges are doing what they're supposed to be doing because that's what successful people do. They're just putting their feet in the footprints of the successful person before them. That's what challenges are. They're just a 2 to 3 year plan shrunken down to a month or 2 months or 3 month gaps of time. And all you do is stack challenges, and you did the 2 to 3 year plan and you're at 6 figures, within that period of time. That's what it's all about. So it's easy to duplicate. So when people come to me and they say, hey, Don, what do I need to do after a seminar? I can say, hey, do you notice that all the people that were big time earners hit the challenge? So all you have to do is hit the next challenge. instead of having to write this whole big action plan, which is okay for certain people. But when you get the majority of people in your business get so big, hey, just hit the challenge and you're on the 2 to 3 year plan.
Mm-hmm. And it helps you lead people. It really does. Like for Shantae, if she reached out and she was like, hey, I really want to grow my customer base. Like, what should I do next? Instead of me having to like figure out all of the things to like tell her because I'm the leader and I'm her senior partner, I can just say, listen, this is what I did. Print out the challenge. Let's do it together. And now it's something we're doing together, just like Don said. And so that's all I have. Action item, print it out. Joel, I know you had a question.
Yeah, if you print out the challenge, does it show you how to do this? Because I'm, challenged on the.
And the challenge is easy. You just print it off and you do exactly what it says.
Mm-hmm. It
Okay,
gives
and
you a
then-
list of activities.
It just gives you a list of activities. You just do the activities. That's all it is.
Okay, but you put it on the internet too, right? You have to know how to do that.
No, you just fill it out. Worst case scenario, Joel, you take a picture of it, you email it to them. We'll help you. Just do the actions between people at your senior partners. Will help you do the you're not bad with technology. You just get anxious with it. You just got to give
If you're
yourself a
talking
break.
about
Very
the
anxious.
Give yourself some break.
Very anxious, yeah.
Gotta give
Yeah, if
yourself
you're
a
talking
break.
about the campaign, that's a little different. That's not something you have to like post on Facebook or post on social media. You can do it for yourself and then just reach out to people and share what your results are
That's right.
to see who might be interested in joining you in a 28 days of wellness or 28 days of skin. That's the campaign is different than a challenge.
Yeah.
I'm just excited because I was like working on figuring out what I wanted to do for the rest of the quarter on campaigns. And then all of a sudden Lauren Reidinger was like, hey, 28 days of skin. And then we're moving into health. And then we're doing business building. And I was like,
Boom.
thanks. I don't have to create anything. I'm just going to follow what y'all are giving me. Like all the verbiage, all the promo images, like everything's already done for you.
That's,
So let's end with this. Right, guys? Ready? The
Yep.
follow-up process guarantees that you create people as hopeless successes. You make them successful before they even realize that they're becoming successful. So that's the process that automatically makes people successful before they're into business. That creates compounding success for those people, which makes your business grow automatically. And then once they're in the business, the challenges do the same thing, but for people that are in the business, creates compounding success. So that going forward, that's your 2 major goals, guys. Make sure every plan you show, you book follow-ups, and you know the intention. And by the way, don't feel shy to get others on those with you. Get drop-ins. Ask each other to drop on and say, all right, so and you can hear us do it with the people. Get to their next level. We're going to help you. And you can even say, hey, is there Don, what would you suggest their next step is? Right? And then we can take it from there and we have us all drop it in. And enjoy the process. Make a goal for the next event. Schedule where you're going to have your watch party for the regional event. Start inviting people safely and securely. And hopefully you get so big that you have to have 2 or 3 watch parties in your team, or 4 or 5 or 8 or 10. That's what it's all about. Any other questions? I'm going to stop the recording now, but thanks for being on.